and welcome to Kids Church. Well done, we've made it to half term. But I'm really hoping that half term the weather is going to get a little bit warmer so that we can enjoy the outdoors. Because I don't know about you, but I found it a little bit too cold last week to actually get out. Now we are on week 6 of our series of looking at the whole Bible. Wow, 6 weeks. That means that we are 6 weeks into 2021. That's quite impressive. But that means that we are even closer to springtime. So it's going to be nearer to the time where we might see some daffodils coming up. And then of course that means that we are not far off getting towards Easter. Easter. I love Easter time. Do you? But actually, before I get carried away thinking about Easter and what I might do, let's get back to the session. Now today's session is about exile. Exile? What is exile? I'm wondering. Well, exile is about when somebody or a group of people are separated from their home country. Now there are lots of stories in the Bible about when people were in exile. So like Daniel and Esther. But I think we probably know quite a lot about Daniel and the lions and Esther. So today we're actually going to be focusing more on Nehemiah. So let's hand over to Sam as she tells us a little bit about Nehemiah's story.
As always, there is a video that you can watch of this story. You can find this video on our website or here on the website of the series that we are following at the moment. Now, in this series and in this section, there are 3 stories. The section is called Exile. The stories are Daniel, that's the guy that slept with the lions, and Esther, she risked her life to help protect her people, and Nehemiah. Today we are focusing on Nehemiah, but don't forget that you can find those other stories at this website here with loads of great resources to get you thinking about what is going on in those stories. So, Nehemiah. Who was this guy? Nehemiah lived in Persia, and he was a servant to a king. One day he heard about a problem that his people in Jerusalem were having, and it made him really sad. A guy called Nebuchadnezzar, I know, great name, had destroyed Jerusalem and knocked down all the city walls and left it in a great big mess. This happened many years before. Finally, all the people who had been exiled were starting to return home, but everywhere was still a mess. There were no city walls, which meant that the city was not protected at all. Now, in those days, without a city wall, the people living there would have been really vulnerable to neighbouring people who might have wanted to hurt them. Nehemiah felt so sad about what he had heard about his people in Jerusalem that he asked God for the king to let him go and help them. And God did. Nehemiah risked his life asking the king if he could go and help his people rebuild their city. But the king let him go. He even provided help. And that is all because Nehemiah had prayed to God about it first. God had laid a way for him. So Nehemiah returned to Jerusalem with some help and began to rebuild the city walls. Many people tried to stop him. There were all sorts of obstacles in his way, but Nehemiah trusted God more than anyone else, and so he kept building. Nehemiah went to build a wall, and there were enemies all around him. but God kept him safe. He showed the people of Jerusalem how their actions hurt God. They said sorry and started to follow God again, the right way.
Hi everyone, today we're thinking about one of my favourite Bible stories. I've got some questions for you to help you think about it a bit more. People made fun of Nehemiah to try and stop him rebuilding the wall. Do you ever let what other people think and say change what you're doing? When we take risks, sacrifice and serve, we get to take part in what God is doing through his people today. It's really exciting. How do you think you might be able to help where you live to serve God's people? When the wall was finished, people celebrated with singing and dancing. Have you ever celebrated something great God has done for you? And how did you celebrate?
So Nehemiah built walls. And do you know what? We can also build our own walls to help us to talk to God. You might want to get yourself some Lego or other building blocks that you've got at home. But if you don't have any Lego, then don't worry. Maybe you could even draw your own brick wall. Now each brick that you put onto your wall is going to represent something that you want to say sorry to God for. Maybe this week you've used some unkind words, or maybe you haven't shown respect to your parents, or maybe you've even argued with a brother or sister. But then as you say sorry to God, you can build your own sorry wall. But the reason that I love building a sorry wall is because God tells us in the Bible that when we say sorry to him, he forgives us and he wipes the slate clean. So after you have built your sorry wall and said sorry to God, you then need to break your wall down. And if you drew it, just rub it out. Because God wipes the slate clean when we've said sorry to him. So God, we want to say sorry to you now for the things that we have said and done that are not pleasing to you. But thank you that you sent Jesus so that we can be forgiven. Amen.
Hi everyone, Debbie here. Today in our story, we learned about Nehemiah rebuilding the wall in Jerusalem. So we're going to play a game today where we need to use our hands to make or build something. And the game is called Play-Doh Pictionary. Now you might have guessed from the name that you need Play-Doh to play this game. Maybe you've got some at home already, or maybe you could make some. I didn't have any and I made some this morning and it was really easy. The recipe is going to be on the church website under the children's activities area, and there'll be a recipe for some salt dough there as well, which is another alternative that you could use to play this game. But don't worry, if you haven't got the ingredients and you haven't got Play-Doh, maybe you've got Lego at home, so you could use Lego to build something, or you could always use a pencil and some paper. Now, Pictionary is a game where someone has to draw usually, but in our case, make something for other people to guess. So to play, the person who is moulding or building or drawing, they get a word, an object that they've got to mould, draw, build. Now, you might need some help finding some things that you could draw, and there'll be a generator on the website too. There'll be a link to a generator that you could use if you're struggling to think of things that you can make or draw. Well, I've got my Play-Doh that I've made, so I think I'm going to make something, and I'd like you to try and guess what it is. Let's give it a go. Okay, to make my object, I'm going to break my Play-Doh in half. Then I'm going to break one of those halves in half again. And then each of those in half again. So, let me see, I'm going to mould this piece like this. I think that's okay. Now I'm going to roll these pieces out. I'm going quite quick because usually in this game there is a time limit. So I'm trying to think what to put on next. I don't want you to guess too early. That is, if you can guess at all. Okay, those going on there, and then this is going on the end. So I wonder, can you guess what this is? It's supposed to be a mouse, so well done if you guessed that correctly. Now it's over to you guys to try this at home, and if you're feeling really adventurous, then you could try using stories from the Bible or films or books and moulding something to do with that. The main thing is to have fun. It's challenge time. Thank you so much for sending in your fascinating facts to us this week. There have been some very fascinating facts. And we set you that challenge last week because we'd learned about how King Josiah had learned about God's laws through a book that had been found. And he then shared those laws with his people, just like you shared your fascinating facts with us. So how about this week then? What's your challenge for this week? Well, we've learned how Nehemiah helped to rebuild the wall in Jerusalem. And we want you to send us a photo or a video of the most helpful thing. Remember to ask an adult to help you so that you can stay safe. And then email us at media@christchurchwgc.org.uk, please. We are really looking forward to seeing your most helpful items. Now, the celebrations could be heard far and wide when the wall was finally finished. The people were so happy. And we thought, why not let our praise of God be heard far and wide today? So why not have a worship praise party in your house today? You might have some songs you already like, some favourite worship songs, but if you need ideas, then you can head over to the children's activities area on the church website, and there'll be lots of suggestions there for you. You could turn your music up loud, make some instruments, and just don't be so loud that you annoy your neighbours. All right, have fun, enjoy worshipping God together. And I'll see you next week.
So today we have been looking at this section on exile, which is all about people who lived far from their homes. Our line is getting so long now. Don't forget that you can go back and look through the cards and remember all of the stories that we have learned about so far. Because look how much of this Bible that we have covered goes all the way off the screen now. Can't even fit it all in. So we have Daniel, Esther, and the guy we did today, Nehemiah. And there we go. It's got even longer. Now, that is all from today. Next week, we will be moving on to the New Testament and we'll be talking about Jesus. The section that we're focusing on next week is Jesus the teacher. But it's the start of half term. You've got a whole week with maybe a lot less home learning. And for some of you, not going to school. But here at Christchurch, we have a half-term series that we have created for you. So every morning, starting tomorrow, there will be a short video with a part of a Bible verse, a short devotional, and an activity for you guys to get involved with. They are Taskmaster tasks. It's for children and youth, and we're really excited to see what you guys get up to while you're at home this half term. So don't forget that from tomorrow morning, those videos will be available on the YouTube channel. So don't forget to check those out. We will see you tomorrow.